think maybe one of the reasons I can like both Sebastian Gorka and Stephen Bottles and Destiny, it's that you have two people who are very passionate, and you have two people who really care about America just in different ways.
Right.
Like they did. And like you can talk about left wing, right wing, but a bird needs both to fly.
All right, guys, Ryan McBeth is here today. We're back and we got a lot to talk about the show, and he brought some good advice.
One of the smartest things you could get is a USB hardware key. You plug this into your computer, and essentially when you try to log into a website, unless this hardware token is detected inside your computer, you can't get in.
Really? Wow.
Everything I have is locked with a hardware key.
Wow, but what if you lose that?
Well, you have a second
one.
Oh. Now, I did, Sean, thank you so much for inviting me back.
Absolutely,
I did bring you gifts because I love you. So, of course, whiskey.
Maker's Mark. This is Dana's, right? Dana White?
This is correct.
Yeah, I've seen him drink this stuff. Thank you.
And my novel, The Wind Machine.
Let's go. Number 6 in psychological thrillers, right?
Financial thrillers.
Financial thrillers.
It is number 6 in financial thrillers on Amazon.
I love it.
I didn't even know that was a category. But imagine Dr. Strange owned a hedge fund, and that's essentially my book. This guy, hedge fund manager, predicts a war with China.
Really? So that's what you wrote about.
And it's apparently like people like it. And what's crazy is this book is about 80% meetings, and people freaking love it. I don't know what the heck it is. Like, why do you like this book so much? After I wrote it, when you write a book, and this is only the second time I've written a book. I only did it because my fans asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a writer, but I after I read the book, wrote the book, you read it like 20 freaking times during the editing process with the editor, and I was like, oh my God, this whole book is about meetings. Because these people who work for the hedge fund, they just go to meeting after meeting after meeting to decide what's going on. But people freaking love it, and it's exciting.
I mean, people like the show Suits, and that was all meetings.
I guess. Yeah, you're right. Or maybe, what was that other show? Succession.
Succession, yeah. The Office, I guess, was a lot of Office was more than meetings. But yeah, I think people are captivated with the China possibility of a war,
It's terrifying in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because they are slowly gaining this capability. Just recently, H.I. Sutton, who runs the Covert Shores, Twitter account, he also has a YouTube account as well. He talked about landing barges. Have you been to Taiwan?
I haven't. I've been to Beijing, not Taiwan.
So apparently, China's constructed these floating barges / piers, and the idea is that these barges have a ramp. Like the siege towers, like when you're watching those medieval, where the
where
big
they bring
ramp
it down,
comes down.
Yeah.
So if you look at Taiwan, they only have like 3 beaches, but the rest of the island is rocky, and there's usually like a ring road that goes around the island, at least on the northwestern part of the island. So the idea is that these barges roll up, they drop the ramp down like that. The tanks come right off the ramp. And these barges, they're essentially jack barges where they put these jacks into the sediment. And they're semi-permanent, right? Like they're designed to be there for just as long as it takes to conduct the operation. Then you throw the boat away. But there is no civilian use for these boats. 0 civilian use.
Wow.
So they've constructed at least 6, I believe, jack barges, 5 or 6 jack barges with roadways of different lengths, which might be because, like, hey, different areas of Taiwan need different lengths to reach out to that ring road. So H.I. Sutton just did a video about that. And literally the other day, I did a video about signs where we're going to see China considering invading Taiwan, one of which is blood drives.
Blood drives?
It's actually in this book.
What is a blood drive?
Well, when you go to the Red Cross and you donate blood, right? So when you go to the Red Cross and you donate blood, you're going to need to do that for soldiers who are wounded. In China, just culturally, you don't donate blood. And a lot of that goes back to the 1980s.
All right, shout out to today's sponsor, Specialized Recruiting Group. Navigating the professional job search is hard. You know the perfect job is out there, you're just not sure how to find it. The good news is you don't have to go at it alone. You just need Specialized Recruiting Group. Connect at srgpros.com. We're here to guide you and help you find a role that fits, all without costing a dime. Meet Specialized Recruiting Group, offering a tailored approach to find your next role. Go to srgpros.com and get on the right course. Your local Specialized Recruiting Group team knows which businesses are hiring and can offer you a path to contract and full-time roles. Don't see the role you're looking for on the website? Well, they also recruit for confidential roles, so give an office near you a call to learn more. Take the next step in your career by starting srgpros.com.
80s, when they didn't really screen the blood that well, and people who were donating plasma and blood got HIV.
Okay.
And so just like in China, it's just not something you do. But if we start seeing the Chinese government encourage people to donate blood, we're going to have a Guinness Book of World Record for blood donated on one day.
Yeah, because they got over a billion, right?
That's a sign that China might be considering invading Taiwan. So is moving away from the SWIFT banking system. They have their own system called CHIPS, which is mainly used by Chinese banks talking to other Chinese banks. But if China says, hey, you need to use our banking system if you want to do business in China, that's another possible indicator. But I feel like I'm overwhelming this conversation because this is your podcast.
I'm interested. You know, there's always been talks of China, Taiwan, but it's seeming like it's an increasing possibility as the days go on.
I mean, if you're building invasion ships, yeah. And I've said before that the two most likely times to invade are 2027. That's when President Xi has said China's the PLA and the PLAF, People's Liberation Army, PLAF, People's Liberation Army Air Force, PLAN, People's Liberation Army Navy. They must be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. If I were Chinese, and China's culture is 5,000 years old.
Yeah.
You think America has culture? Wait till you hear about China, right? 5,000 years of culture.
Yeah.
They can wait. They can wait an extra year. That's what I would do. I would wait an extra year until 2028. What happens in 2028? Presidential election. So now you're going to have most likely J.D. Vance running for president, along with several Democratic contenders. They'll find someone, right? Yeah. Gavin Newsom. They'll find someone.
He's under a lot of heat right now.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Literally a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should have cleared that brush. I think I told you that this can go both ways. We can talk about the wildfires. We can talk about TikTok. So you had talked about, like, Ryan, what were some of the items of misinformation that you saw in California wildfires? And one of the things I've seen like three, basically. The first is I've seen people talk about, California's only getting $770 payments.
Saw that
from the government. They are getting, but it was the same in the Maui wildfires. It was the same in North Carolina. When the disaster happens, FEMA rolls into town. They say, here's a gift card for $700 and some. Use that to buy infant formula, go to Walmart, get yourself some new clothes, medications, whatever you need. Come back tomorrow and fill out your stuff for the real aid. But people are fixated on that $700 thing. So that's one of the things. The other was that it was Alex Jones, who said that firefighters were using handbags to put out fires because their engines had been sent to Ukraine. And really, apparently there are these canvas bags that firefighters use almost like as a bucket brigade thing, when you don't need to bring a hose. You just need like a little bit of water to dump on the fire. And so really that was what they were using. They're not handbags. They are handbags. They're not like Birkin bags.
Got it.
Right?
Was there any equipment sent to Ukraine though?
I believe the U.S. or other NATO nations have sent firefighting equipment and ambulances. I know that we've had, I think Jake Bro. You know who Jake Bro is?
I don't know.
He's out of Las Vegas. You should have Jake Bro on your show. Okay. I will get you in touch with Jake.
Please.
Bro.
I love Vegas
locals. He is an
locals.
amazing human being.
Jake Bro.
Jake Bro. BROE. he's a former missile guy, a missileman in the Air Force. So he sat next to nuclear. Well, he didn't sit next to nuclear missiles. They're like a couple miles away, but he's in a capsule, his finger over the button of a nuclear missile. Learned a lot about nuclear missiles from him, but he's had fund drives where like he's tried to raise money to bring ambulances, bring trucks, stuff like that.
Got it.
And the third thing, I just heard this in the Uber coming over here today, where this woman said, the government started the fires because the government started the fires in California because they wanted to create a smart city and put a chip in everybody's hand. And I mean, like, look, we already have a chip in our hand, right? We carry this around voluntarily. You know, we give up our data. Yes, Apple, here's our data. Please take it. You know, give me an easier way to check out by going boop, like that with our phone, really on our wrist. I actually remember back when they said the sign of the beast was going to be on your head or on your wrist, right? Something like that, like this Christian notion of the Antichrist, and you need something on your head or your hand to pay for goods. And you know, now you got your Apple Watch and you got your freaking Apple goggles. What are those called?
The Google glasses
Vision Pro or something.
Apple Vision Pro, yeah. And now the Facebook has one, the Meta glasses with Ray-Ban.
I don't know if you can pay for stuff like that, but maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know it records people now.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so you could just be somewhere and recording people without them knowing.
I can only imagine. Well, there's got to be a light that comes on, right?
I don't know. Someone told me they had them on the other day, and I didn't even notice it. So I think it's pretty subtle.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of people saying there's foul play in that fire situation, but you pride yourself in being evidence-based. So,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt that there's probably people who, like I know this happened in New Orleans, where after the flood, Hurricane Katrina, some houses were flooded. And then I know some people were like paying cops, like, here's $5,000. Please go into my neighborhood, find this house, light this house on fire.
What?
Because if you don't have flood insurance, but your house floods, you're out of luck. If you do have flood insurance, you're going to be okay. If you don't have flood insurance, your house floods and then it burns down, now you get the money.
Wow.
So people were paying New Orleans police officers, hey, go in.
Yeah, I saw Andrew Huberman posted a video of someone literally lighting a fire.
I could picture that. I could picture someone like, you know what? My ex-wife lives in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm going to get her.
But there's also people saying the actual start of the fires were like, you know, I mean, who knows?
Could be anything. Careless smoking, campfires, freaking, you have pyromaniacs all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And that whole area, I mean, I guess we're at the point now where we're kind of realizing this wasn't well managed, right? Like you have, like, I'm not a forest person. I don't know how you manage a forest, but I assume keeping dead brush on the floor of the forest probably isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know how you stop 100-mile-an-hour winds.
True.
Like, how do you know, if there's a small fire, winds make it into a big fire and the embers fly all over. I don't know how you fix that.
Yeah.
Maybe if you tile roofs, like roofs that can't catch on fire, but, you know, if you get vegetation catching on fire and then your windows melt or blow out because of everything in your house it might be fireproof to a certain degree.
Yeah. I saw a crazy video yesterday. Chinese government, I don't know if it's Chinese government, but the firefighters in China have these drones. I don't know if you've seen this video. We'll throw it up, but they can shoot water out of them. And there was a burning building and they use these drones to shoot water at it.
How big are these drones? Because water is pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's not a lot of water. They have to keep refueling, coming back. But it sounds like the Chinese have some very advanced drones. You would know about that more than me, though.
Yeah, I guess I would know about that. I'm actually not familiar with that. I would think that firefighting drones would probably be more useful at spotting fires, using thermal cameras to say, hey, there's a fire, there's a hot spot here, there's a hot spot there. Let's get a water tanker on that.
Yeah.
I don't see why you couldn't turn a drone into the size of a helicopter and make that unmanned and have that, you know, take that with a Bambi bucket, which are those buckets that, you know, come down and they dip into the water and fly over whatever. I mean, the difference between controlling a small drone and controlling a helicopter with a Bambi bucket that's it shouldn't be that different. I mean, you're going to have to account for the extra weight and the whole pendulum effect of the Bambi bucket.
Yeah. These ones seemed pretty big, and it was a high-rise building, so that makes sense because the regular firefighters wouldn't be able to reach that high, right?
When you take security classes, when you work for the U.S. government, one of the things they say is don't ever get a hotel room above the 6th floor.
Really?
Yeah. It's part of your security training.
It's good to know.
Like ideally, like 3rd floor, 4th floor, because you're above where people can just like ground floor walk into your hotel or smash your window and steal your stuff or look through your stuff. And 2nd or 3rd floor, you're going to survive a fall. 4th floor, it's iffy. 5th floor, you're not surviving that fall. But if you have to get out, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, that's the optimum floor.
That's so good to know.
Dude, anybody who works for the government, you've taken terrorist training, like they tell you how far away you should be from the exits of the hotel because you want to be far enough away that people can't come up the stairs and quickly enter your room, but also close enough that you can reach the exit.
Yeah.
You should always know where the exits are. So when you get a hotel, you go like, all right, I'm here. Where's the closest exit? Where's the second closest exit? Because if there's a terrorist attack, where do I need to go?
Yeah. And I watched the Sean Ryan show. There's that whistleblower. I forget her name, but she's basically talking about potential terrorist attacks. I don't know if you've seen that episode.
I think it was Sarah Adams.
I think it was Sarah.
I don't really watch the Sean.
Yeah, it was Sarah Adams. So like she's basically saying some weapons have gotten in the country. Have you seen that? Across the border.
What kind of weapon?
I'd have to look it up, but she was saying it got across the Mexican border.
I mean, we have plenty of weapons here. You want a weapon? Go buy one.
She said,
I'm not too concerned with, you want to, look, you can go to a gun store. You can buy a semi-automatic rifle. It's a pretty darn effective weapon if you want to be a bad guy. And you look at the Mandalay Bay shooter. That guy might have, oh boy, I hope I don't get you demonetized.
I think they're over that incident
now. But you look at the Mandalay Bay shooter, he probably would have been more effective if he didn't put a bump stock, to simulate automatic fire on his weapon. He was in a perfect position, an elevated position. So yeah, I don't know if you need to worry about weapons getting into the country. We got plenty of guns here. And that's actually kind of a good thing, right? Like I'm armed right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a carry permit in DC, Virginia, or in Maryland. So, I look, if there is a terrorist attack, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sean. The gun isn't for killing the terrorist. It is if the terrorist is in my way between here and getting away. Well, at least I have a fighting chance. But you don't go and fight the terrorists. You use the gun to fight your way through any bad guys to get to safety.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not John McClane, right? I'm not going after the terrorists. One good advantage about being in the United States is we are armed. And if there is a terrorist, he might not be a terrorist for very long if there's a couple of people in the crowd who are armed. Right. Mandalay Bay, that probably didn't matter because guys in the elevated
way
position.
High up.
You're not using a pistol against that.
Yeah, I texted you before I came here because I was just seeing on X, people were freaking out about the safety issues of the inauguration, and now they moved it indoors.
So I think there was, what was it, Miller? Who was the guy? There was one president who died 30 days after the inauguration. I don't remember. I think roughly a month after the inauguration because he caught a cold. They were in the cold. It's going to be really cold tomorrow, like 27 degrees. It's going to snow tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's a safety issue. Not safety issue is like someone's going to shoot up the place, but think about safety issue in the sense of 27 degrees, freezing cold. You have snipers, really marksmen, not snipers.
Yeah.
You have marksmen up on the roofs of some of these buildings, laying there for hours in the cold. That is a safety issue for these guys. You have police officers out in the cold. You have soldiers out in the cold and some of our uniforms are really not designed for super cold weather, right?
Yeah.
They aren't Russians. You also have police. You have police horses. Think about, all right, can we bring a police horse out in 27 degree weather? Right. So that might be kind of an issue. It's a force protection issue.
Yeah.
Right. So why not bring it inside? Right. I'm not too concerned about some sort of attack. I mean, DC, we do this all. Is this your first time here?
Second
time here?
The first time I was here for like a few hours. Yeah.
Like this place is so used to it. I used to work on Connecticut Connecticut Avenue. And like we would see the vice president's convoy go by all the time, his Suburbans, right? All the time. And it just like the level of security is normal here. It's weird. You go into museums or just regular government buildings. NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, which is on my street in Silver Spring. NOAA has armed guards, right? Like who's attacking NOAA? It doesn't matter. It's a federal building. They have armed guards. You get x-rayed when you walk into the building or you go through the metal detector.
Mm-hmm.
So, if there's one place that can handle some kind of crazy shooting incident, DC. We have cops everywhere.
Over 5,000 boots on the ground for the inauguration.
It's a lot of people.
Of military or police officers. It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot of people. It's more than most towns.
Yeah.
When you think about it, New York has 25,000 officers. It was 25 or 45,000 officers.
It's a lot, but New York, the public transit's not the safest right now. If we're being honest. And now with the congestion pricing, I talked to women and they're scared to take the transit.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually have to go up for another podcast on Tuesday. So I'm going up Monday. I'm going up Monday. I have a podcast on Tuesday. I'm doing up in New York.
And you got your concealed permit, so you're good.
Actually, my permit isn't valid in New York.
New York
I have to get a separate
New York is pretty strict, I heard, actually. They're pretty hard compared to other states.
Well, that goes back to the Sullivan Act. So when New York was always mobbed up.
Yeah.
And when you pass the Sullivan Act, essentially, so like these darn Irish immigrants don't get guns.
Hey, I'm Irish.
I know, I am too, right? Well, we're the right kind of Irish.
Yeah.
We're from Northern Ireland. But the other kind of Irish that they didn't like, they didn't want those guys to get guns. And Sullivan Act was a way of preventing regular people from defending themselves. That way the gangsters who were paying the politicians would have a monopoly.
Yeah. Do you think that was an effective thing to do?
Doesn't seem like it, right?
Yeah, because there's always that debate if you ban guns, like, does it actually help?
Probably not.
Probably not, right?
But again, like when you think about it, like if you kind of, it's like this, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. If you make it difficult to purchase firearms, then a lot of people will never grow up like that. How do most people encounter firearms? Well, their dad took them hunting.
Right.
Or they're in the military or whatever. But if you grow up without ever encountering a firearm, it's not a big deal to you. Years ago, I remember New Jersey banned the use of ATVs, all-terrain, those quads, on state parks. And New Jersey said, don't worry, we're going to build 3 parks where you can ride these ATVs. I don't think they ever built them.
Wow.
But that was what they said. And I remember I heard about that law and I thought, I don't care one bit about that. I've never been on an ATV. I don't know anybody who owns an ATV, and I have no intention of ever going on an ATV, ever. Like maybe if I'm on someone's farm, we need to go from one place to the other, right? Maybe I'll take an ATV. I think a lot of people who grew up without firearms, whenever someone passes some wacky new firearm law, they go, I don't own a gun. I don't care.
Good point.
And then because something like COVID comes along and they go, crap, I need a gun. And they go, well, I thought I'd just go in the store and buy it. You mean I have to go through all this?
It was the first thing I did when I moved to Nevada. Went straight to the gun store. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember. Did you ever read that book by Blake Crouch? It was also it was called Dark Matter. It was also
I heard of it
series.
Though. Yeah.
There's a scene in that where this guy, he lives in Illinois, he goes to buy a gun, and they essentially Dark Matter is about multiple versions of this guy in multiple realities. He invents a machine that can go into multiple dimensions, and pretty soon other versions of him are hunting him in his dimension. Yeah, because they all want his wife.
What?
Yeah, like apparently, like it's a long story. Essentially, there was a dimension where this guy was a physics genius, and because he was a physics genius, he lost his girlfriend, and so he finds a way to go across dimensions, and he notices the girl in the main character's dimension. So he kidnaps the main character, and he kind of assumes his life.
Interesting.
So when the main character finally finds a way back to his dimension, he goes to the gun store. And he's like, yeah, I want to buy a gun. What do you want? I don't know. Oh, here's a Glock. Okay. Where's your FOID card? FOID firearms ID card. And goes, what's a FOID card? That's the guy who votes for gun control. Right? Like that's like, whoa. This is gun control? That's not what I voted for. Yeah, it kind of is, buddy. So
that's nuts, man. I forgot to ask this when I mentioned Sean Ryan earlier. I know you guys had some back and forth. Are you guys on good terms now?
I don't know the guy. I have no idea. Like, I don't know the guy. I feel you on good terms. You have to be on terms in the first place to be on good terms.
Right.
I don't really watch the guy's show. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he doesn't watch my show. We're in like two different worlds. So I assume so. Okay. I had gotten something way wrong. And I made a whole video explaining where I went wrong. I apologize.
I saw that.
And he seemed like, you know what? I don't care, dude. And we're in just two separate worlds. So yeah. I don't really, I assume so. I'm never going to go on a show, but I'm never going to go on Joe Rogan either.
Don't say that. That's possible.
I don't think I'll draw the ratings.
Rogan has on all sorts of people with no views. I could definitely see you on there.
Maybe.
I've had a lot of guests on my show on Rogan.
About the closest thing that I would be like Peter Zion.
Okay.
Like Peter Zion, I think he's been on Joe Rogan once or twice. I just don't think I'm controversial enough.
I could definitely see you on Piers Morgan debating some conspiracy theorists. I think he would bring you on.
I have never done a debate before. And like Destiny, and I'm friends. It's weird. I'm friends with Destiny and I'm friends with Sebastian Gorka. I can like them both equally.
Yeah.
Right? And, Destiny, I think he asked me like, Ryan, you should do a debate. Like debate? Why would I do a debate? Look, this is the way it is. I'm not trying to you can believe me or you cannot believe me. Yeah. But the percentage chance of this being correct is this number. There's no debate to that.
You're very logical. You're rooted in evidence.
Yeah. And, I think debate, like you can maybe debate, like, is gun control good? There is some personal experience with that, or there's, you can, but from like a logical standpoint, like, is China preparing to invade Taiwan? There's no debate. Here's the pictures of the ships, that they're building. I can't convince, when people say debate, did you ever watch The Last King of Scotland?
Last King of Scotland.
Idi Amin, the Idi Amin movie.
Can't say I have.
So this Idi Amin, he was the dictator of it's Nigeria. Oh my God, that flew out of my head. The country he was a dictator of. Pretty sure it was Nigeria. But this guy, he really loved Scottish culture. And one day he found this Scottish doctor who was like working in this country, and he essentially like made this Scottish doctor his prized advisor. Well, one day Idi Amin wants to kick all the Chinese out of his country because he needs someone to blame for something. And the Chinese run a lot of the stores and businesses and stuff. And so, the Scottish doctor says, hey, if you do this, your economy is going to go to hell. Well, Idi Amin does it. And then afterwards, he blames him. Like, hey, our economy has just gone to hell. And the Scottish doctor says, well, I told you don't do it. And Idi Amin says, I think one of the best lines ever in the movie. He goes, but you did not convince me. Oh, you did not persuade me. But you did not persuade me.
Yeah.
And like kind of that's my job, right? My job is, maybe it's not a debate. I have to persuade you, look, here's this evidence, and here's this evidence, and here's this evidence. And hopefully this will persuade you that, all right, this is Daddy El Batty. This is where Daddy El Batty is living. This is the car that Daddy El Batty is driving.
Yep.
We can kill Daddy El Batty at this crossroads. when there's no traffic and there's we have to do it at 1:00 for the school lets out, the school down the road lets out.
Yeah, I could see that. That's why Destiny's a good debater, because he'll bring studies, he'll bring evidence, he'll bring facts. Even though I'm conservative, I'll admit he's a really good debater.
That guy, I think maybe one of the reasons I can like both Sebastian Gorka and Stephen Bottles and Destiny, it's that you have two people who are very passionate, and you have two people who really care about America just in different ways.
Right.
Like they did. And, like you can talk about left wing, right wing, but a bird needs both to fly.
Yeah.
Right. But I think he does a heck of a lot of research before he rolls into his debates. And I think I've heard 2 debates with him. It's not my thing. Like I have a finite amount of time, so I can't,
I think you do well, honestly. You should potentially try it this year.
A debate?
Yeah.
God, I wouldn't even, am I allowed to smoke at this debate?
You'd be allowed to at the right setting, yeah.
I can't smoke here. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I'm sure crazy. If you debate Andrew Tate, you'll both be smoking.
Is he still around?
Yeah, he's going at it with Ben Shapiro right now. I'm not sure if you've seen that. Yeah, it's pretty back and forth.
I have been so stuck in...
he just announced he's running for prime minister, actually. Andrew Tate of the UK.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Harvard?
I don't know exactly, but he announced it a few weeks ago.
Okay. Okay. I suppose that is something a person can do.
Yeah.
It would be nice to smoke in airplanes again.
I wouldn't like that, actually. Yeah, I'm good with that.
I don't know. I look at, I guess you could do something like that. Maybe we might be entering a point where the people are shaking up who they vote for, right? Like they just want some kind of change because the status quo doesn't seem to be working for the majority of Americans. Like I had my Uber driver, speaking with this Uber driver, she had a cracked window, right? She was telling me she had a piece of pizza for breakfast and she's hoping to earn, I guess, I don't know if Lyft sends you money directly, like every time you do a ride, but she was like, hey, I'm glad you're my fare because this is a good fare and I can get a cup of coffee afterwards. And I was like, damn. Here's let me give you some cash.
Wow.
I would have stopped to get her coffee because I could have used some coffee as well. But I would have stopped to get her coffee if I wasn't.
That's nice of you. It's good that you're dealing with everyday people because some people are in DC are so in their own bubble. You hear that all the time about DC.
Like I've dating in DC.
Yeah.
So there was this girl. I remember we were this one girl. She talked about the THAAD missile system. Like she said, there was a terminal high altitude.
What kind of girls are you dating?
Women in their 50s who work. I'm almost 50.
Yeah.
And I look young, but like women in their late 40s, early 50s who are single because, of course, right?
Yeah.
And like their policy wonks, and all they do all day is they think about missile defense. Or I think one woman, I went out with her and she talked about how she works for like a group that does drone policy.
Interesting.
And you have you nod and you listen, and the one other thing about dating in DC, if they don't know who you are, they say, who do you work for? Because they want to see where you are in the hierarchy. Because if you work for an NGO, non-governmental organization, you're down here.
Really?
Yeah. You're the lowest of the low if you work for an NGO. If you work for like a law firm, maybe you're a little bit above. If you work for a contractor, you're a little bit below the law firm. If you work on the Hill, on Capitol Hill, a little bit more clout. Depends on who you work for and what your position is in their staff. Government agency, below Capitol Hill. White House, it's kind of, you're getting to the top tier, but it depends. You work in the Eisenhower office building or do you work in the White House? Where do you work in the White House? So if you're working in the White House.
Wow, so there's levels.
So the question is, if I date you, where does that put me in the social hierarchy?
So do you think about that too with the woman you date or no?
Dude, I'm almost 50. You think I can you think I can choose? You think I'm going like, well, she only works like, no. Yeah. all right, she's a woman and she likes me. I'm good.
I feel that. Wow.
That's pretty, yeah.
I didn't know DC was like that. Reminds me of college. Being a freshman guy, they say you were always at the bottom of the totem pole because you couldn't get into parties.
Yeah, unless you have money, I guess, right?
Not even money. Like you needed either 5 girls with you at Rutgers or you're screwed. 5-to-1 ratio.
There's wait. 5 guys for every girl at Rutgers?
No, so 5 girls for every guy if you're a freshman guy. That's how you get into parties. Yeah, because you're at the bottom.
5 girls.
Yeah, because you're at the bottom of the totem pole.
So you went to Rutgers?
I did in Jersey. Yeah, I grew up in Jersey.
Like 5 Rutgers.
New Brunswick. I don't count the other ones as real Rutgers. It's like Newark and like.
So I went to NJIT in New Jersey.
Okay.
I did 99% of my stuff distance learning. I was in the military at the time, but I did go to campus like a couple of times. Because like you had like back then you actually like had to go to campus registers and before like the distance learning thing happened. So I remember like there was a Rutgers right across the street, Rutgers Newark.
Yeah, Newark.
Rutgers Newark. And like talking with like some of these dudes, it was like if they wanted a girl, they went over across the street to Rutgers Newark to get a girlfriend because like just at the time, like no women went to NJIT.
Oh yeah,
it was.
I don't know if that's changed much either. NJIT. I heard of that one.
Did you know they had a football team?
I did not.
I did not know that.
Are they Division 1 or? Probably not.
No clue.
No, they got to be like D3 or something.
I was in the art. Can you imagine like the NJIT football team? Yes, let us get out there and win one for Ganesha.
That's funny,
it's just
man.
Not like I can't. All right, and that is that is. I guess they could have a football team.
Yeah. So social experience did not play a role in your college decision making process. For me, it was very military, dude. For me, it was very high up.
I once went. I took. I was at some community college. I forget what because I needed like 3 credits of a.
Was it RVCC?
Liberal ounce.
Raritan Valley Community College.
No. I don't remember where I went for this, but I had to take a sociology class because I need like 1 humanities. And so I just took like a community college class that could transfer. And I remember, like I figured out the class like that. Like it wasn't computer science. You show up, you listen to the professor, and then you parrot back whatever the heck the guy said at the test. Doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. Doesn't matter whether you think what he said is stupid. You just parrot it back and you get an A. There were people who were failing the class. How the hell do you fail this class? You just roll in. Don't argue with the professor. I say, okay. That's one of the things that kind of blows my mind about college, where people who talk about, oh, these woke college professors. Okay, just whatever.
Yeah.
You say what you want to say. All right, here's your answer. Boom. Give me my paper, please. Thank you. I'm going to get a job.
Facts. Yeah. Well, a lot of campuses have gone woke, but yeah, you're right though. It's how you interpret it. You know what I mean?
I can't picture NJIT as a woke place.
They
probably don't even know anything else.
No, NJIT's not. I think it's mainly like the state ones. I mean, you see Charlie Kirk on campus debating some of these kids. Some of them are brainwashed.
Who is Charlie Kirk? I think
Turning Point.
Had him
on the show.
Had him on the show, but I saw his name. I feel like I've heard his name before.
Wow, you really are in your own world. That's impressive because Charlie Kirk gets like hundreds of millions of views.
I mean, is Charlie Kirk a weapons system? How many road wheels does Charlie Kirk have?
Yeah, that's why I respect what you do because you stay in your lane. Like you're all about weapons and intel. Like
yeah, for the most part. And I'm actually, people have asked. There are a number of people asked me like, "Hey, can you do a video about these new Chinese jack? These jack ships that with these siege towers, right? These new Chinese siege towers that float." And I was like, no, because number one, H.I. Sutton and Subbrief, Aaron from Subbrief already did 2 videos on it. I'm not going to steal content. And number 2, I do stay in my lane. I don't know a damn thing about the Navy. I know a little bit about aircraft carriers. I've been on aircraft carriers. I've been on amphibious assault ships. I know a little bit about amphibious stuff.
Amphibious assault ship.
Yeah. So the the Navy has these ships. They look like mini aircraft carriers. In some cases, there's different kinds of LPDs, LCD, landing ship, LSDs, landing ship docks, landing ship platform, LPDs, landing ship platforms, and then amphibious assault ships, which look like mini aircraft carriers. These amphibious assault ships, they carry multiple helicopters or Ospreys, which are the tilt rotor aircraft. And the amphibious assault ships also carry F-35s that can take off and land vertically, Marine Corps F-35s. And some of these ships have what are called well decks. So the idea is that the back of the ship has a ramp. You lower the ramp, and you can put hovercraft inside that thing, and you can float certain kinds of Marine Corps vehicles out. So if the Marine Corps wants to do a landing, they roll one of these LC or landing ship docks up near the beach. They put down the well deck, and they have. This blows my mind because I look at the safety of something like this.
Mm-hmm.
They have helicopters coming off the top of the ship as they have amphibious vehicles leaving the well deck of the ship. The well deck of the ship floods. And so they have like the semi-flooded area of the ship, and they just drive the vehicles out. The vehicles go through the water.
That's crazy.
And there's a whole science to how the Marine Corps, they used to call them red patches, although I think they got rid of that MOS, or they changed the nomenclature for that. But red patches are the beach masters. Right, they're the ones. They used to joke the red patches have AIDS. That was like an 80s kind of thing. If you have a red patch, it means he has AIDS. But the red patchers were the guys who coordinated stuff on the beach. So you can just imagine. I mean, people look at like Saving Private Ryan. It's all the people hitting the beach, right? The amount of coordination that they do is insane. You have your left and right limits set up. You've mapped out the currents on the beach. You've mapped out where any obstacles are.
That's nuts.
And then once you get onto that beach, all right, this is where we're going to set up our casualty evacuation point. This is where we're going to set up our supply point. And, these kids, 18, 19, 20 years old, are doing this. Can't even buy alcohol, but they're coordinating where equipment goes on a beach. So I do know a little bit about amphibious stuff. I've done one with the Marine Corps. It was absolutely amazing.
You were on one of those ships?
It was on one of those ships. I came ashore on a hovercraft.
Wow.
On a LCD. Oh, not LCD. Oh my God, LA. It's
been a while.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years. But I came ashore on one of the Navy hovercraft, and that's kind of neat too. They actually don't use those in combat. Like after the Marines hit the beach, then those hovercraft will go out to the ship, and they'll just kind of do like this connector bridge. It can hold, I think it was 70 tons of cargo.
Yeah,
something like that. And the hovercraft, it can go on the water, and then it can come up a little bit on the beach. They'll turn off the hovercraft will go down, and they'll have these sky crane, or they'll even take like a bulldozer, not bulldozer, a front end loader with, they'll take the bucket off, they'll put forks on it, and they'll just drive that right up onto the LCD. They'll pick up the cargo in a shipping container, move it, put it down, pick up and one is leaving, the other one's coming in. It's like this dance.
That's impressive, man. Yeah, I've seen videos of planes landing on ships. I'm like, I've
been on an aircraft carrier.
And it landed on the ship?
Yeah. I mean, that's what aircraft carriers are. I landed on the ship. They actually did. They did. So what's funny, so I landed on what's called a C2 Greyhound, which is I was probably one of the last classes of journalists that landed, that will ever land and take off on a catapult from an aircraft carrier.
Wow.
Because the C2 Greyhound, they're being phased out in favor of the Osprey, which can land vertically.
Mm-hmm.
So the C2 Greyhound, it lands on the ship, and it's big cargo, not a big cargo plane, but it's a cargo plane. And they take off again via catapult. So they actually, when people talk about the catapult, oh my God, it's, you go from 0 to 150 in 2 seconds. It was really just, okay, that's it. Like, okay, we're in the air now. When we were coming into land on the ship, there was this woman, Tessa on the radio, 93.4. This other journalist was right next to me, and I was like, "Are you scared?" She's like, "Yeah, a little." I was like, "Listen, these guys flying this C2 Greyhound, they are the best there is." LCAC, that's the name of the hovercraft. Okay. LCAC. These people flying the C2 Greyhound, they are the best that there is. So if they've screwed up, we're never going to feel it. We're just going to slam into the back of the ship, and we're dead. So don't worry about it.
I'd imagine they don't have much room for error.
I mean, when you think about it, you're trying to land, when you try to land on an aircraft carrier, there's, I want to say it's about 30 yards of area. So I think it's about 30 yards wide and then about 30 to 40 yards long. And I might be getting this wrong, so you have to check me on this, but every like 10 yards or so, there's another cable. There's cables that you have to catch. Ideally, you want to hit the third cable.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to not only land on a ship that is moving, you're moving, the ship is moving. The ship is also going side to side, rocking side to side like a cradle. And if the sea state is high, the ship is going up and down. So it's moving in 3 dimensions, and you have to land on this thing and catch the third wire from the stern of the ship.
That's nuts.
That's why these people are the best. That's why the Navy pilots are amazing. And by the way, do it at night.
That's so crazy.
Do it at night.
So you landed at night?
Yeah. No, I landed during the day.
Oh, okay.
I didn't land.
Either way, it's still insane. Like,
and this is normal to them. And here's the other thing: every time you land on an aircraft carrier, you're graded.
Really?
So imagine people graded you for every single podcast, right? And like, if you fall below a certain number, you're cut.
Yeah. Well,
right?
in a way,
yeah, you do, right?
The YouTube comments will let you know what grade you get.
Yeah.
I just watched an episode where this guy was getting destroyed. I don't know if you're a basketball fan, but
yeah, I'm a Wizards fan. Which
okay. Well, Patrick Bet-David, who's a big podcaster, he had Scottie Pippen on the show, and it was ruthless in the comments.
Really?
Yeah, because he asked him about Michael Jordan the whole interview. So he got an F on that.
Look, I don't know if Michael Jordan would have been Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. Oh my God, the worm.
Rodman.
Yeah. Like, you needed those. Because you have the best defensive player probably ever. Would you say that?
Yeah, best rebounder for sure, and definitely at least top 3 defender, maybe the best.
Yeah. And you need Scottie Pippen to do everything else.
Yep.
And you need Jordan to score, and
that's how you get 6 rings.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I miss that. I miss that era of basketball, man. I can't watch it these days.
I am of that era. I mean, I'm 49. Right. I'm of that era. I'm also of the Allen Iverson era.
2000s. Kobe.
He never quite got there.
Yeah, he was close, but he needed someone else.
And this guy, look, I don't know if this is true. I don't want to spread misinformation, but supposedly, the Allen Iverson went to Penn State and they hooked him up to like machines to check his breathing, and like he was running on the treadmill and like never got tired.
Really? Wow.
Allen Iverson was just so amazing, but he never could quite make it, never could quite get a ring. And he was always, he spent some time in exile from the Sixers, but when you think of Allen Iverson, he's a Sixer.
For sure. Yeah.
He's a Sixer.
Yeah, his last 2 years we won't talk about, but yeah, he's a Sixer in my eyes.
Yeah. All right.
So TikTok is officially banned.
Yes. And I would say alhamdulillah, like, thank God. The TikTok is a national security issue. And one of the problems with TikTok is that not only does it target people, but it's not accountable in the US. So if there's a problem with Facebook or something like that, we can subpoena the Facebook CEO, say, hey, come here. You're standing in front of Congress and explaining yourself. We can't do that with TikTok. We can't get Doyen in here to stand in front of Congress. They're not answerable to us. Now, I'll tell you something. If there was ever a war, I guarantee you that China would flood TikTok with messages saying, hey, the U.S. is an imperialist, capitalist country that wants to, Taiwan for their own minerals, their own resources, whatever. There's that. And also, look, if TikTok wanted the address of every single journalist that's using its platform so they can go kill them, they do that.
That's scary.
Look, we give our info. We tell this thing stuff that we wouldn't even tell our wives. Right?
Yeah.
Don't we?
We do.
I can look at you and I can say, do you watch pornography? Give me an answer. Do you watch pornography?
I try not to.
Okay. Let me see your phone.
Can't deny it.
Your phone tells the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth teller right there. And we tell that thing everything. So if I were TikTok and let's say there was a journalist in the US that was making trouble, all right, let's see where their exact location is inside the US so we can kill them.
Yeah.
You can't really do that with Facebook or Instagram. You can with TikTok.
Well, Zuck, did you watch Zuck on Rogan?
I did not.
Okay. So on Rogan, he said WhatsApp, basically, if the FBI wanted to read your WhatsApp messages, they they could go around Facebook to get that.
So one of the things you should probably do if you have Siri on your phone and also on your computer as well, you should turn off archiving Signal and archiving WhatsApp.
Archiving Signal. I'm doing that right now.
You should do that.
Archiving. What's the reason
because for that? Signal is encrypted end to end and WhatsApp is encrypted from end to end. But if Siri AI is reading your phone, then it's going to see that text come across your screen and it's going to remember that.
Wow.
So that encryption, that I should do a video about this, that end-to-end encryption, it doesn't matter if you're recording the message at the other end.
Interesting. Yeah, because I remember when Tucker Carlson did the Putin interview, they got in a Signal or something.
Trivial.
Yeah. You thought it was trivial?
Yeah.
He was shocked.
Look, your Signal might be encrypted end to end, but if we can get on your phone and read your phone and read your Signal messages, then that doesn't matter.
So what do you think the safest messaging app is?
Postal mail.
Telegram?
No, so for the most part, look, do you know the difference between a code and a cipher?
No.
All right. So a cipher is a mathematical representation of stuff, right? Of encryption. A cipher, a cipher is a mathematical representation of stuff. A code is something that only you and the other person knows. Like, did you ever heard of the Navajo code talkers?
Code talkers, no.
All right. So if I had some kind of mathematically based encryption using radios, the Japanese would eventually be able to break that if they put enough computing power behind it. Back then, computers were like people, right? Trying to do math. But if I have some dude that knows Navajo and I have some other dude that knows Navajo and they're talking in the Navajo language, the Japanese don't have any Navajo speakers. Guess what? You're not hearing that. That's a code, right? So anything that uses a code would be a good way to, there's a reason a drug dealer might say, hey, I have a kilo of that spice you want.
Yeah.
Like, well, you could go in front of the court and you could be like, hey, they're just talking about spices. This guy had a kilo of turmeric.
Right.
Like, that's a code, right? There's actually something called a one-time pad. I actually wrote a piece of software that can use a picture as a key to a one-time pad. I was actually using Lizzo's Instagram.
What?
That's the key. Yeah. So, all right, a one-time pad when it comes to encryption. Imagine rolling a die. All right. And you roll a die a certain number of times and you write down the number that comes up on that die. And that is the number you flip a letter. So let's say you roll a die and the first number is 5. All right. Then A becomes F. Right. You roll the number again and the number is 2. All right. Well, then B becomes D. Right. You do that enough times, you have general randomness. And as long as you know the number that's random and the space, you create 2 pads with the same numbers on them. And that is theoretically, it is practically unbreakable.
Wow.
And it's unbreakable because ciphers rely on mathematical algorithms. And once you get the mathematical algorithm right, everything unlocks.
Yeah.
But if you have something that is truly, genuinely, honest to God, random, then you can't really break that encryption. Because the word attack, which is 6 characters, the word attack might actually be the word laptop. You don't know. It can be any 6-letter word.
Yeah.
Right? If it's truly random. The disadvantage of a one-time pad is that you have to send that one-time pad with the spy. So if that one-time pad is intercepted, and I actually wrote a program that did this where, the big problem with the one-time pad is that you have to send the one-time pad out with somebody.
Right.
And then once you use the one-time pad, you have to destroy it because that message has been burned.
So human error is always going to play a role.
Well, yeah, human error if you're captured. But if I tell you, hey, every day use Lizzo's picture on her Instagram as the code key, and when I send you a message, use the bits in that picture as the random key to unlock the message. Well, number one, the bad guys have to know which picture you're using. Right. And number two, they have to know specifically like which Instagram site or which picture on that Instagram
That's interesting.
site. You can also use the New York Times, the front page picture on the New York Times. You could use whatever. You could theoretically use the stock market as a.
Yeah, you could use whatever image. I'm interested in that because I'm in crypto. And do you know about seed phrases for the wallets?
Tell me about that.
Basically, when you make a crypto wallet, you get a seed phrase. It's, I think, either 12 or 16 random words, and you have to write it down. And if you lose that, you can't log back in, basically. But the problem with that is they're saying with these quantum computers, people will be able to hack into wallets in the future because they'll just be spitting out so fast.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing quantum computers, we don't really know how. I mean, what's funny is the wind machine deals with quantum computers. One issue with quantum computers right now is we don't really know how useful they are. They're pretty good at guessing random numbers, or they're not guessing, but they're pretty good at coming up with random numbers, and random primes is one of the ways we do encryption now. And so I think the government has an initiative right now where all of its communication has to be quantum safe. I think this is the year. I might be wrong about that, but I think this is the year all of our encryption has to be quantum safe. But essentially, when you pass keys in public key encryption, you basically give a public key and a private key. There's a prime number this thing not adds up to and multiplies to. And so you're basically trying to guess that prime number. Now, if the prime number is 71, that's really easy to guess.
Yeah.
Some of these primes are big. Well, a quantum computer might be able to guess those numbers really, really fast. And so that's kind of the issue with quantum computing. Crypto is interesting too, because you have a system. I actually wrote a crypto program.
Oh, really?
Well, I did it. I guess about 2-3 years ago. And it's crazy. It's one of the reasons that I have a challenge coin that I give soldiers.
Yeah.
And I call it my butt pillow coin because I have my bare ass on the back wearing like a pillow. So I had when the war in Ukraine first started, I had 2 videos.
Yeah.
One video I just put out where I created my entire crypto system to explain how crypto works. I created my entire blockchain, proof of work, all this stuff. Created that whole system, put it up on my GitHub. Anybody could download it. It's all written in C#. And then I created another video about why Russian soldiers wear pillows on their butts. Guess which video got more views?
The pillow on the butts.
And that was what made me realize, like, wow.
I mean,
this is what people want. People want to know why Russian soldiers are wearing pillows on their butts. And that's how I'm serious. That's how I got into this whole. I mean, I was doing Intel software work, but I was mainly doing YouTube videos about software. And once I started answering, well, this is why Russian tank turrets pop off their hulls. This is why Russian soldiers wear pillows on their butts. This is why this gun does this certain kind of thing. There was this hunger for that.
Interesting.
But one of the things I noticed about crypto is that if you're a criminal, crypto's got to be one of the stupidest freaking things you can ever do because like every single transaction is on the blockchain. It can't be changed.
Yeah, especially if you're using a centralized exchange and then you're sending it to your US bank account. I mean, that's so much evidence on you for money laundering.
Can you imagine stealing money from a bank and you can't cash it out? Like that's got to be.
Yeah, and you could freeze wallets now these days. They could freeze your wallet if they catch you scamming or doing fraud. So it's not what it used to be. Back in the day, maybe for the black market stuff, buying illegal things, but no, not anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, now like kind of the government's kind of caught on to it. And the other weird thing about crypto is the amount of electrical power that we're using to find a number that we don't really need to find.
The mining.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you mine for crypto, at least for the blockchain or for Bitcoin, I think what are they up to? 16 zeros, something like that?
It's a lot, yeah.
Find a hash that starts with 16 zeros. This is a calculation that nobody needs to do. And we're spending a certain amount of energy to try to find that hash. And that is energy that is not finding a cure for cancer, that is not, whatever.
Yeah, it is a lot of energy.
It's a lot of energy to find. I think that's I think Venezuela actually was one of the biggest crypto mining.
It saved them. Crypto.
Yeah. Yeah. When you think about it, I mean, well, because the government subsidizes power.
Yeah.
Right. So they have these, at least they used to have these crypto mining operations.
Big margins if you're not paying for power. Yeah. Because that's the biggest expense when you're mining. People, when Bitcoin was low, like people were going out of business because their mining wouldn't keep up with the price. But now that it's 100K again, I guess it's profitable.
Are you just into Bitcoin or are you into...
I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, Solana. I did not get Trump's coin yesterday. A lot of people made some good money on that one though.
Really?
Yeah.
I did. I think the deal with a coin is that you have to have something to spend it on.
Yeah. It has to have utility, they call it in crypto.
Utility.
Purpose. Yeah. Or else it's just a meme coin and then it'll die off, which 99.9% of coins do.
The Hawk to a girl.
That one died quick.
I got to tell you, that is... Like, I am so happy I got famous slow.
It's a blessing in disguise. Yeah. Because if you get it overnight, the odds of failing are probably way higher.
I mean, I can still fail too.
Yeah.
Like the jury's still out on that one.
Yeah.
Right. Although, like, I look at, what's kind of crazy is that I look at, with the new administration coming in,
mm-hmm.
Oh my God, there's going to be so much disinformation coming from people who hate the president to an absurd. I did a video on Project 2025, which was this document put out. The Heritage Foundation puts out this document every year, right? And they call it like the blueprint for America. Like if a conservative president gets into power, like what are you going to do? And Project 2025, like I read the document and there was this infographic that said like, Project 2025 is going to ban the teaching of slavery. No, it's not. Like there was plenty of stuff in the document that made me go, whoa, okay, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
But like, it's not going to ban slavery. Like or ban the talking about slavery in schools. So there was that. And I think just recently, there was this thing, I think it was a former baseball player who's an ultra conservative who said that, Trump's first day in office, they're going to medically discharge all the trans people. He's going to medically discharge 15,000 trans people. And I was like, all right, number one, you have any idea what it takes to medically discharge someone from the army? Because you better go have a cup of coffee because it takes multiple meetings and hearings and then you're paying for their medical what do you call it if they get it's disability, like if being transgender is a disability, well, now you got to pay them for being disabled. Like there's a lot of steps to medically discharging someone. A lot. And also the number 15,000, that came from like a study like 15 years ago that was not like 15,000 would be over a division and a half of transgender people in the military. Maybe they're including like reservists or something.
Yeah. Oh, so they did a study and they found 15,000 trans people?
It was this study from like 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't, I don't even think like that number was valid 20 years ago.
That sounds really high for 20 years.
It sounds really high. I think the number, I think one of the issues that the military doesn't know. We don't know. But this number 15,000 keeps floating around because some study quoted it 20 years ago. The number might be closer to like 2,500 maybe across the entire National Guard, reserves, active duty, all branches. And even then, even if it's 2,500 people and President Trump wants to discharge them, they have to go through all these medical hearings if you want to medically discharge them. Yeah. But even the COVID people, the people who refuse to take the COVID shot, like there is a process to getting someone out of the military, and it's not the next day.
Yeah.
There's a whole process for that.
That makes sense.
So like that, I am going to be busy for the next 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Because, these people are going to be saying, these people are doing this and these people are doing this, and both sides are going to be pointing at each other.
Yep.
I'm going to be in the middle going, I got the truth, boys.
You'll never run out of content,
No, in a way that's kind of a shame. But, I've said like the good, I said this about Sal Martigliano, who runs What's Going On with Shipping, which is it's an excellent YouTube channel that talks about global shipping.
Yeah.
Who cares about global shipping? Well, do you like this cup? Or like this microphone? This microphone got here on a ship.
We need it.
All right. So Sal Martigliano, when I watch his YouTube content, I leave smarter. That should be a sign that you're watching something good. Absolutely. Are you leaving smarter?
Well, Ryan, it's been really cool, man. I know
we're done?
Minutes. I know you got the new book. Anything else?
No, hey man, thank you so much. I hope you have I hope you have a good time while you're in DC for the rest of the
I'll try not to get snowed in today.
We'll do this again.
Yeah, we'll do it again in Vegas or DC.
Enjoy your life.
All right, man.